Hello, good evening. Welcome back. Another day, another idea session. So, this one is not about any specific topic or it's not a specific lesson. This is more about making a plan once again because one, everybody loves it. I have realized that the most enjoyable thing about most things is making that plan, right? So, but jokes aside, the idea being that how do I make the most of my time and resources as we did for the overall exam discussion earlier. But this time, specifically working on my VARC, verbal abilities and reading comprehension skills, right? So that is my agenda for today. That what are the activities, habits, mindsets required to make sure that you not only do well in the test, but because verbal or basically language skills are such a fundamental tool to survive in the knowledge economy, you it's the preparation or the investments that you make right now shouldn't just get wasted after the test is over, right? So there is a short-term benefit of the test, and then there is a very long-term life benefit of, let's say, having a reading habit, right? Because it can, I'm sure you've seen enough videos and heard about enough CEOs and how much do they read. And I mean, we will discuss that again in detail maybe someday about with the scientific studies backing it, right? But so a lot of long-term benefits, and I have a short-term goal. I have a goal in maybe 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 5.5 months. I want to appear for a test, right? So how do I manage these two goals and make sure that I obviously enjoy the process as well, right? So that is the agenda for the day. Now, yeah, okay. So let me switch to my tools. Uh, my agenda number one would definitely be building a very strong vocabulary, right? So now the long-term habit would be to always be aware and always be learning new words on a daily basis. Now, where will you find these words? You will find these words as you read the newspaper or the news in the digital media anyway, as you watch new TV shows, as you read books, as you meet new people and they use a word, maybe in a place or anywhere where the language is used. So obviously, the step zero, definitely even before learning, would be to expose yourself to the language, right? So if I'm thinking of improving my English language, let's say, definitely I would switch all my content consumption, right? Like all the TV shows that I'm watching would definitely be switched to the English language, right? Like I want to watch as much because if you think about how you learned your own language, whether it's Hindi or Bengali or Marathi, you did not learn it too formally. You were just surrounded by it. Everybody around you was using it and talking in it, and you just acquired it quite easily, right? So have that approach that the more you are surrounded, the more you're immersed in the language, the better your language acquisition is going to be. So any free time that you have should be spent on reading. Now, I mean, watching a documentary is also fine, but let me, for the general all-round purpose, just call it reading, right? So if I'm at a bus stand and I'm waiting for the bus to arrive, I want to have a book with me which I open and start reading, right? Now, this is slightly old-fashioned approach because remember when I was growing up, there were no mobile phones with touch screens, right? Now you can say, why a book? I have my mobile as well, right? So great. If you have a reading application like Kindle, maybe installed on your phone, start reading, start utilizing that 10 wasted minute, right? And so we had a disadvantage. We did not have the phone and the internet access wherever, even at a bus stand. But one of the advantages was there was no Instagram, right? So there was nothing melting my brain on an hourly basis. So The problem with the phone could be that phone is a device which is a big distraction. So maybe learn to carry a book with you. Wherever there is a 5 minute, 10 minute waiting period, learn to read, right? Learn to watch great TV shows. Find out about what are the greatest books that have ever been written and start reading them, right? So it's going to be a mindset that you love the language and you're not only doing it for like a test. You want to become a better human being. You want to learn more stuff, and the pathway or the gateway to all of that is definitely loving reading, right? So if you can figure that out, your life is definitely going to change. So so that's the long term approach. But the short term approach, if I'm preparing for a test, would be that I will have to go for a highly upgraded vocabulary, and that also very, very quickly, right? That means this long term habit is fine. I'll work on it, I'll develop it, I'll be learning via that habit as well. But for the first 5 days, let's say in the course, let's talk about the course members, let's say, right? So for the first 3, 4 days, time should be spent finishing as much of the vocabulary course, right? Just you don't have to memorize the words. You just have to quickly expose yourself to 600 to 800 words and various ideas and how you are going to learn words, right? Etymology is one approach. Reading a lot is another approach. Visualizing the words is one approach. Appearing for a lot of quizzes is one approach, right? So writing down, making a vocabulary notebook and writing down every new word that you encounter is one way of doing it. But in the first 4, 5 days, maybe a week, or if you want to extend that window, you definitely want to put in a lot of excuse me, effort into a quick upgrade to your vocabulary. Now, etymology is definitely a fast way of doing it, right? Uh, Etymology is basically study of roots and prefixes and mapping words. So what happens is in learning a root is you learn one root and you end up learning 5 words, 8 words, 10 words, and you even when you encounter a new word, you can at least guess in which direction the word is going to lie in just based on the prefix or the suffix, right? So again, for each of these things that I'm saying, there is a dedicated proper academic lesson video. So please go through that. But etymology definitely can help you quickly gather a lot of words, or at least just run through it so that your brain has started warming up to, let's say, gather more words, right? Then it would be the daily habit that whenever I'm reading a newspaper or on social media where I'm reading something, there is a word that I do not know, I must stop and learn it, right? Also, words are ideas. So think of it as you learning about the whole wide world rather than thinking of it as like, okay, I have to memorize a lot of words from a list, right? So that's not what we are looking at. So now let's assume that you have spent maybe 7 to 10 days working hard on this, acquiring a lot of new words very, very quickly. You're not worried about memorization, but you have just given yourself a quick boost in your vocabulary building, and then your daily habit can kick in, right? The second skill that I really want to master is critical thinking, right? Now, critical thinking means evaluating an argument, how to make an argument strong, how to make an argument weak, what are assumptions, what is an argument anyway, right? And arguments are everywhere when your company is trying to launch a product and is trying to market it in one form of another, it's using an argument to sell the product. When the interviewer asks you why should you be selected and you say I should be selected because, so you're making an argument for yourself. In the parliament, the opposition and the government are making arguments against each other of or for certain ideas, right? So arguments are everywhere, and this is the skill of the future, especially in this modern age of AI. I was reading this document from Harvard. It said that now, what is that one skill that everybody should work on? which is a game changer because AI now can do so much more, right? So what is it? It still can't do very well. It can't think critically as of now. It cannot reason very, very well. So reasoning is definitely a skill that you need to work on. And the way I'm going is also about if you think about your test, if you think about CAT, it's mostly just reading skills. On the surface, it looks like, oh, I have to master reading skills. But if I have a poor vocabulary, no matter how amazing a technique that I teach you, which is reading related, if you're struggling with the word, if you cannot understand the basic meaning of the sentence, then obviously the high funda logic that I am going to talk about mapping and creating structures is all going to be down the drain because you don't have the words to understand that at a sentence level. How will I then understand at paragraph level, and how will I do it to, how will I say just do it quickly and quickly find the central meaning, right? So all of that without that foundation of words is not going to work, right? So that's why the big priority is going to be learning a lot of words. And once again, this is a mistake that most people make, and part of the coaching design is that because there are no direct questions on vocabulary anymore, people have stopped preparing for it, have stopped working on it, and then they keep struggling in critical thinking and basic reading as such, right? And in life, a great vocabulary is a sign of great things to come, right? Again, with this, we can do a scientific study and have a separate discussion based on why is it so, right? Why do words matter so much? And if you think, if you spend half a day thinking where all words are used, and then you'll see words are used everywhere. So if you have a great set of words, your performance in this speaking economy is going to be great, right? Uh, so then my second idea would be mastering critical thinking, and critical thinking can be mastered at like at a paragraph level. So we are looking at words, which are sentences, and then we say, okay, can I identify the logic involved or the arguments being presented at a paragraph level? So when you hit your critical thinking course, you will get like a lot of these strengthen the argument, weaken the argument, find the assumption, what is the argument, how will you summarize it, etc., etc. So now that basically it's think of it as reading comprehension at a micro level. So you're just focused on one paragraph at a time. And once you're done, let's say with 50 questions or so, because each question will be a challenge, each question you will learn something new. So maybe once you've done your first 50 questions, then you can move towards mastering your reading fundamentals. Right now, everybody knows how to read anyway. From left to right, I put my eyes there and then the symbols come to my brain. All of that we know already, but how to read effectively, how to build speed without reading faster, build speed just because of better comprehension, how to use uh, keywords like conjunctions to make to grab the structure, how to use general and specific, which is a division of information, to get to the main idea, because the main idea is always going to be general and not specific, right? Again, these are ideas that even on YouTube videos you can find in the playlist. So they can be found out in the open, 2, 3, maybe half an hour of investment. You'll be familiar with the ideas, right? What happens in the course then is a lot of repetitive practice, right? Passage after passage of applying those skills. So obviously the course is for those people. I mean, some people will look at the first 3 videos of reading. They will say, okay, this is what needs to be done. I will do it on my own, right? Great. The course, obviously, then what it does is it says, okay, the teacher will do it for you 100 times through CAT passages, so that as you go passage after passage, the not only you have understood the idea, it has become a strong pathway in your brain, right? Like it has become it has come to muscle memory level of performance, right? Um, and once those skills are in place, right? For example, if I say there's a skill called spotting the conjunction, where if there is on the other hand, the topics change before and after, right? So Ram is a good boy, Sham on the other hand. Now, because I know how on the other hand works, I can predict the personality of Sham, right? So uh, now I learn this idea, and I say, okay, for next 5 days, I'm going to, for anything that I read, I will stop at every single conjunction and try and do this prediction game. For 5 days, I'll do it. For 7 days, I'll do it. And I'll only do this. I'm not doing whole passages. I'm not doing five other things. I'm just reading, but wherever I'm reading, I'm stopping at every however and thinking, is there a left to right, green to blue? We use colors to communicate these ideas. Is there a switch of ideas happening based on these conjunctions, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about at all completely, then please go through the first three videos of the reading comprehension playlist on YouTube. Even those would be enough to get this basic conversation started, right? And then you can come back here. Now, when these three are in place, I am building a solid vocabulary, especially in the beginning, 10, 8, 10 days, I'm doing a lot of words, and then learning, still learning 15, 20 new words every day. I have a dear vocabulary notebook, and it should become fat by the end of 3 months, right? That means I can't say how important this process is, especially for the short-term test takers, right? If you're not appearing for a test and you just generally want to improve, then 5 words a day, 10 words a day, or whatever words you encounter every day is fine. Till you reach a place where you don't find any new words, right? I right now don't, when I read something, I don't find new words anymore. Very rarely. But when I was younger, I would find new words every day because you'd be like, oh, what is this? What is the meaning of this? And that's all you require. What is the meaning of this, right? Uh, then you can, once you have broken the skill down, right? Because meaningless practice, bad practice is you basically you're just practicing to repeat the mistakes, right? So without clarity in what reading entails and what is comprehension, I would not worry about practice. But once, let's say I figured out, okay, this is the skill, then that's when we go into just as much practice as possible, speed building via those time tests and appearing for your mocks and whatever. All of that is fine after that, right? But these are the foundations that you need to work on. Uh, to even start practicing. Otherwise, you're practicing, but there is no, like, sometimes you get some score, sometimes you get other score, and it doesn't change too much, right? Like, I mean, there's no, you don't know whether you're progressing or not. But whereas if you master these three things, then you have a solid foundation, and then each passage is going to be teaching you something new, and you can follow it up, right? So I obviously want to and all of these ideas, guys, because I've been check out the oldest videos and you see the oldest videos is like now almost 11 years old, right? So in one form or another, I've said this thing here, there, in the course, in some video or the other. And obviously, we'll keep discussing it again and again that, okay, what are the 5 ways of learning words, right? What are the techniques? Uh, Let me see if I can look at some stuff right now. Why not? Right, yeah. So let me show you something. So this is illustrated. I made a series of illustrated verse where basically you're trying to visualize as much as possible, right? So, in a lot of cases, if you see the word, right, if you can actually see it once, forget about the dictionary meaning, right? So, for example, the word is gobble, and if you can look at the image and kind of deduce the meaning that what does gobble mean? Gobble means to, you don't even need words to explain the actual original word because it refers to a real thing. For a lot of us, not all words can be visualized so well. But, and then obviously I can look at the dictionary meaning as well. Gobble, to eat something hurriedly and noisily. So what's the difference between just eating and gobbling? You're eating in a hurry and you're eating noisily. And large amount, if there is a large amount and you just pick the whole box of laddus and put it in your mouth, that would be gobble, right? Um, Word like sartorial, it is related to clothes. So once you maybe visualize the image and you're done, right? So the point being, let's say, if nothing else, the point being that for each word, put in a little bit of extra effort to try and grab it one way or another, right? Uh, does the visualization make sense? Does the story behind it is more interesting? For example, in this word, genuflect, It just means to actually lower one's body briefly by bending one knee. The dictionary meaning is so long, but the meaning is so simple. Get down on your knees and surrender or pray. Basically bend the knee, right? So the idea is so simple. The word sounds so complicated. So as much as possible, visualize. Try and find stories behind words. A word like snarl, for example, it's so easy. If you see a dog snarl once, that's it. You're done. You don't have to read the meaning as well. Learn a lot of idioms and decapitate, right? And words are drama. That's what I mean. That try and make the process as much juicy as possible. So to decapitate is to chop off the head. Once you see the image, the word is very, very clear, right? Then obviously you read the detailed meaning also and figure out, okay, for example, in the word decapitate, the root is capit, which means, for example, capital, right? Um, so the root is capit, which means head, and decapit means to remove the head. So de means negative. And again, these are ideas which are covered in various videos as such. So this is for the guy who's just about to start right now, right? That, oh, you will learn the prefix, you will learn the root, and you will learn visualization, and you will essentially pursue it passionately. I think that's the key word, right? That you have got to like words, and the words will like you back, and they will come and sit on your tongue very, very easily, right? So that would be the idea, and we'll cover each of these ideas in more detail anyway. So for now, I'm going to start. I'm going to stop and maybe. So this one is not about. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to stop uh, for now, and I'll see you soon with more details of each of these topics. Obviously, the course is obviously preloaded and ready to go with hundreds of CAT passages as such. So this is more about what is my plan, how do I execute it? Okay, I start with the vocabulary chapters. I do a lot of words. Then very quickly I move to critical thinking, spend 7, 8 days, try 50 to 100 questions, get that process because you'll keep practicing later anyway. But let's say first 50 questions, first 100 questions, then you go towards your reading skills and maybe take 2, 3 weeks because there are 2, 3 big chunks that you need to master, and these are skills that you need to master. Nothing to do with memory, right? So there is general specific. Spend 7 days just looking at general specific, and it'll be in your pocket. And after this, maybe 1.5 month of effort, you are just good to go for as much practice as possible, right? Okay, so that's it. I will see you guys really soon with the next video, right? Okay, bye.